Despite Nigeria's bold strides towards economic stability, the World Bank has sounded a stern warning. Millions of Nigerians are still sinking deeper into poverty. While reforms in the exchange rate and fuel subsidy sectors have begun to stabilize the macroeconomy, the global financial institution cautioned that these gains risk being lost if they fail to produce real improvements in the lives of ordinary citizens. The World Bank has expressed concern that despite Nigeria's recent economic stabilization efforts, about 139 million citizens are now living in poverty. The institution warned that the country could lose the momentum of its hard-won reform gains if the benefits do not translate into better welfare for the people. The Bank Country Director for Nigeria, Matthew Verghese, made this known on Wednesday in Abuja during the launch of the October 2025 Nigeria Development Update, themed "From Policy to People, Bringing the Reform Gains Home." The Nigeria Development Update is the bank's biannual flagship report that assesses Nigeria's economic performance, policy outcomes, and major development challenges. During his first NDU presentation since assuming office 3 months ago, Verghese commended Nigeria's government for implementing bold and foundational reforms in its exchange rate and petroleum subsidy regimes. He described these policy moves as critical steps that could shape the country's long-term economic trajectory if properly sustained. He noted that over the past 2 years, Nigeria had taken commendable actions that set the stage for transformation, reforms similar to those undertaken by emerging economies like India in the early 1990s. According to him, such historic opportunities are rare and must be seized decisively before they slip away. Verghese explained that the reforms were already producing measurable results. Economic growth was picking up, government revenues had increased, debt indicators were improving, the foreign exchange market was stabilizing, external reserves were growing, and inflation, though still high, was showing early signs of easing. He described these as the right signals of a stabilization phase, adding that many nations would envy such progress. However, the World Bank chief stressed that these macroeconomic achievements had not yet translated into meaningful improvements in living conditions. He noted that millions of Nigerian households continue to struggle with eroded purchasing power as poverty rates remained on the rise. Verghese revealed that poverty in Nigeria, which began to climb in 2019 due to policy missteps and global shocks like the COVID-19 pandemic, had continued to worsen despite reforms. The World Bank estimated that 139 million Nigerians were now living below the poverty line in 2025, a sharp increase from 129 million in April 2025 and 87 million in 2023. This, he said, underscored the deepening hardship facing households even as economic indicators improved. The report outlined 3 key priorities for Nigeria to convert policy gains into tangible improvements for its citizens: reducing inflation, particularly food inflation, ensuring efficient use of public resources, expanding social protection programs to cover the poor and vulnerable. Verghese emphasized that curbing food inflation must be at the heart of Nigeria's policy agenda, warning that persistently high prices could undermine public support for reforms and derail recovery efforts. He explained that food inflation affects every citizen, especially the poor, and that continued disparities between Nigeria's inflation rates and those of its trading partners could pressure the exchange rates, creating a vicious economic cycle. While commending the Central Bank of Nigeria's tight and data-driven monetary policy, as well as the government's cautious financial stance, Verghese noted that these measures alone were not sufficient to bring inflation under control. He urged Nigeria to pair these policies with structural reforms to tackle inefficiencies in food production, distribution, and market systems. The World Bank further called on Nigeria to strengthen its public financial management systems to ensure transparency and measurable development outcomes from every naira spent. It also urged the expansion of the national social safety net to shield the most vulnerable citizens from the impact of ongoing economic adjustments. Verghese reaffirmed the World Bank commitment to supporting Nigeria's economic reform agenda through policy advice, technical assistance, and financing. He stressed that success would depend on strong political will, effective implementation, and inclusive dialogue among all stakeholders. He concluded by saying the real challenge lies not in launching reforms, but in ensuring that the results reach Nigerian households in the form of better jobs, affordable food, and improved living standards. The NDU event brought together senior government officials, private sector leaders, development partners, civil society representatives, and journalists for a candid discussion on Nigeria's economic outlook. Participants agreed that while macroeconomic stability had improved, the true test of reform success would be whether ordinary Nigerians could feel the difference in their daily lives. As Nigeria celebrates progress in stabilizing its economy, the World Bank's message is clear: growth on paper must become prosperity in people's homes. The next phase of reform success will be measured not by policy strength, but by its impact on the lives of millions striving for survival and dignity. Uche Jacinta for Eagles FM News.